And we're back to discuss T2 Trainspotting. If you saw our review, we both enjoyed the movie, both recommended the movie. I felt like all the things I was really worried about, I think it handled really well. I didn't want to see, I didn't want to see a story about Spud ODing and them dealing with the fallout from that. Like, I didn't want another heroin movie so much. And this delivers on that. It's more about the characters than it is about their addictions and all the stuff that they're doing. It also does a really good job of incorporating what life in Scotland over the last 20 years has been like. Just how dire and broken that place is. And because they're adults now, it's not like they can just drift off to a nightclub somewhere and have a great time and something new happens to them. They don't go and meet, an exciting girl at a club and all that kind of thing, or they don't go score drugs. And like Johnny Lee Miller's character, Simon / Sick Boy, whatever, like he's a cocaine addict in this movie, but we never see him buy cocaine. Because that's not exciting or important, or it's like a shameful part of his life now. That he has to do that.
It's a financial crush he's got, kind of.
So.
And actually, I think you kind of mentioned the heroin thing. That was one of the things that kind of threw me a little bit, because in the middle of the movie, they shoot up, like, I guess for old time's sake or something, maybe. But, I mean, knowing what little I know about addiction, I would think that would be a hard thing to just do and not, blow off, and they didn't treat it like it affected them that much.
It was kind of, so the story it centers around the fake reconnection between Sick Boy and Renton. And we know from the start that Sick Boy is going to screw him over. By the middle of the movie, or 2/3 of the way through the movie, we know Renton's planning to screw him over. As well. They're both planning to take the girl and run with the money, basically. And our Sick Boy's planning to deliver Renton to Bigby, and that'll be the end of him. And them shooting up is sort of it's like when they genuinely become friends again. Is when they shoot up together again. That's like their.
Well, they call each other on their
times.
shit, their 20-year-old crap, you killed your baby, and what was it? I don't remember what Renton did, but
it was he gave the kitten to Tommy and killed Tommy.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, like I like the fact that he goes home. They show his mom's shadow on the wall. Did you notice that?
Oh, yeah, well, absolutely. It's Danny Boyle. There were some really great shots. And not just the ones that were callbacks to the original film. There was just some really well done, some thoughtful filmmaking.
And he goes to put the needle on the record, and you hear like the first note of Lust for Life. And he pulls the needle back off. And it's like, this isn't that movie. This isn't the, soundtrack going full steam, everybody's on heroin, everything's heightened because we're all supposed to be high along with Renton as we're following along. It's like, no, Renton's in a bad place, and we come to know most of that when he finally admits to Sick Boy that he's like getting divorced and he doesn't have kids. And
actually, I thought where they were gonna go with the movie, and I was kind of liking the idea behind it, was that he only had so much time to live, and so he was, connecting his dots before he left, to die. And they didn't actually go through that, but then it pays itself off a little bit with the, but I'm gonna, they put a stint, and I'm going to be around for 20 years. If I only had 2, I'd know exactly what to do. I thought it was, I liked the story. The story was well thought out. It fit with the characters where they would be now. I had no problem like reconnecting with the original cast at all.
Yeah.
And them being who they would have been.
Yeah.
I thought that was really well done. The music was, of course, great. My biggest challenge with the whole movie, honestly, was all the callbacks to the original. It was every 5 minutes it was something, which a lot of times they felt like really well done, but there were a lot of times where it kind of took me out of the current story enough that it made me go, oh yeah, I'm watching a sequel to that.
Right. I think it's doing two things at once. Part of it is that it's filling in the spaces for people who haven't seen the other movie recently.
Yeah, maybe.
That I think that's helpful for that. But I also think it's self-aware that it's doing that, because you have that scene where Sick Boy's like, you're just feeling nostalgia for something that was never great. Like,
I guess I feel like even if you hadn't seen the original movie, going into it, it was fairly obvious that there was some betrayal in the past. And even if you only had to learn that through the slow giving you of that information throughout the movie.
But they give you flashbacks to things that weren't in the first movie.
They did a couple, yeah.
Like when they panned up over the bathroom stalls and you see the two kids, or like any of the stuff of them as kids is not in the first movie.
Right.
So the breadth of the story that this movie is taking on is much wider than that. And I think the only reason that it really called back to the first movie as much as it did, if it called back to the first, I feel like it called back to their earlier childhood more than it did the first movie. But even for when they did go back to the first movie, I think it was more for the ability to do those mirror kind of visuals and the fact that they have footage of 20 years younger, all of the cast doing stuff.
Yeah.
And so they can do these like, that sort of like flash stuff where, present day Renton is walking and then it flashes back and shows him for a second and then it's not. Right. It switches back again. The other thing I didn't like about the original Trainspotting was that the sort of big villain at the end was the heroin dealer, the drug dealer guy that they bought the drugs from. And I think this movie corrects it because I think Bigby should be the meanest, baddest guy ever.
He was always the thorn in their side for sure.
Even as like kind of sweet as his story ends with like his family and stuff like that, he still like belongs at the top of the
bad guy
antagonist list.
Yeah.
So I thought that made sense. And yeah, I can see people that are disappointed by the soundtrack just because it's kind of stuff you've heard before, but I don't know, like, I think the first one, again, like, because of they were trying to capture that mood of being on drugs, like, they had to have a song going all the time. It was almost music video like.
Yeah.
Whereas this doesn't do that. It has, they do All of Dreaming by Blondie. They do Radio Gaga by Queen. That's about all I remember them doing, like, huge sections of.
Yeah, there were several, like, for lack of better terms, remixes. Lust for Life popped up about 5 times throughout the movie in one form or another. It was not just the point where he drops the needle and picks it back up.
There was like that Perfect Day thing at the beginning. Yeah,
the very Perfect Day thing. They definitely did the Born Slippy thing, except it was like the really dialed back non-techno. It was just the organs or whatever it was in the background. And it kind of served more as a score, if you will, instead of just a soundtrack.
Which again I think is brilliant. Like, it's a muted, it's not as in your face as being a 25-year-old heroin addict.
Yeah.
It's more like being a washed up 45-year-old former drug addict.
Yeah. I'll say this about the flashbacks. I mean, it definitely gave you a chance to, because these 4 guys are walking in their old footsteps for the first time in 20 years as well. It's not like they've been living in these spaces, couple of them been living them, but they're living them with each other for the first time
Right.
in 20 years. So they would be flashing back to all these memories. I just feel like there were a couple of times where I was like, I could have done without that and still gotten the same jive. you
Sure.
know? But, I mean, overall.
I get it. I also think,
Yeah.
like, when you see the first... So, Renton comes back, and the first person he runs into of the old gang is Spud.
Right.
And their reconnection is
Gross.
it's funny, it's gross, it's over the top, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And then he kind of has a similar thing when he meets up with Sick Boy. Neither of them are like overly contentious or overly like, they're just both sort of like passively like, okay, he's here or whatever. And I was like, man, if this is how they're going to do all of the reunions, it's going to be really disappointing. And then they got to the Big B reunion, and that is the funniest. Like them in the bathroom stalls next to each other. It's like,
Yeah.
prick,
Looking at
fucking
each other.
cunt. And they're just like, they just look into the camera for a minute, like, is that? I know, is that the voice? They both start standing up. It's like so great.
Yeah.
And the freeze frame of Bigby's face,
Yeah.
like as he sees it.
Yeah, they definitely employed like all the free. If you go watch the original movie, then go watch this one, you'll catch all the like similarities, like the close-ups, I don't remember what it was. The camera was on something like
Oh, it was on.
it was like a GoPro type thing where the view was from the.
It was on his microphone.
That's right. They were singing that song.
That all the Catholics are dead or whatever it was.
Yeah.
No more Catholics left. That's what it was.
Yeah, that was a pretty great song, actually. Yeah, I don't know that it's going to go down as a classic the way the Trainspotting original one did.
I don't think they could.
I don't think you could expect that of that.
No,
Yeah, but it's
it's not a George Lucas 20 years later movie.
no, no. But it's typical Danny Boyle, which is always a good thing, and
Yeah. Yeah. So it was good. I liked it. If you like when we do these reviews, please like the video, subscribe, check out all the written and video reviews at dalemaxfield.com. Thanks for watching.